joining us for the agenda review on February 7th. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. City Manager Layton.
Right. I'm going to start off with an apology. On your calendars, you have a en banc at the end of the month. We're not going to have that en banc, but instead you're going to receive the presentation on the opioid settlement recommendations after this meeting on the 11th. So at noon, we'll have lunch in here and we'll have the presentation from the consultant. Consultant is making that presentation Tuesday morning to the board, to the commission. And so we thought, okay, let's make sure everybody hears it on the same day. So hopefully we'll have materials we'll distribute out to you on Monday, and then you'll have the presentation Tuesday afternoon or at lunch.
There is a staff selection, the screening committee Mike and I have at 1 o'clock, so.
Don't know that they'll be fully finished by that time, but you'll have all the materials. And
Okay.
we'll let them, I'd love to have it as an hour presentation. I think they're 90 minutes over at the county, but I think they're anticipating a lot of discussion too. We'll have an en banc as a follow-up because right now this is just a framework and priorities that they're recommending, not specific agencies, not talking about the full process for soliciting proposals and all that. And there are some recommendations that you may question from a priority standpoint, and that'll give you a chance. You can ask questions now, and then we can get into deeper discussions later on. And at that time, we would like to have the county commission in the room with you.
What time is the county hearing at?
9:30, I believe.
Okay,
Dante's
so-
not here. I think it's 9:30 to 11, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
On the 11th?
On their hearing on the 11th, yeah.
So what time are we meeting?
Noon.
At noon?
Noon.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's jump into the regular meeting on the 11th. On the first page, you have a proclamation and one person on the public agenda. On page 2, item number 1 would approve the 2025 CSBG application. Estimated grant award is $1.1 million. Number 2 would approve the police policy development service and accreditation assistance contract with Lexipol. Number 3 would approve a contract for a centralized software interface for the Real-Time Information Center. Page 3, number 4 would approve a grant application for drainage improvements in an area bounded by 9th Street, Central, Topeka, and Lorraine. On non-consent planning agenda number 1, you have a CUP amendment in District 1. There's a difference between the MAPC and DAB.
Hold on, I'm missing number 4 in my packet.
I thought that was just me. We'll go ahead and make sure that everybody's got that.
Didn't she send something yesterday?
Oh, that's the
saying
multi-hundred
it's
page.
451
That's the
pages?
attachment, but I don't know that the report should have come to you.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't.
you should have the green sheet, okay. Like I said, I thought they just left it out of my packet, okay.
We like to do that. We go in.
Okay. All right, back to the non-consent planning agenda. I was starting to say there was a difference between MAPC and DAB recommendations. On page 4, number 2, another CUP amendment. There again, a difference between MAPC and DAB. That's in District 6. And then number 3, this is a zoning change item that was deferred by the City Council on January 7th, and it's back to you now. Page 5, non-consent airport agenda item number 1. This would approve the design contract and project budget for a street and parking lot rehab project at Eisenhower Airport. I don't have anything on page 6.
Can I go back to page 5? I will have a council member travel, that would be me, to Aviation Day at the Capitol on March 3rd, 2025.
Mayor, I thought we were putting those on the 18th, that along with NLC. Okay, I was going to mention that as well.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, nothing on page 6. On page 7, item 4D, this would approve a unified support agreement for the city's various Microsoft software installations throughout the organization. We've had separate agreements on different systems, and this would unify all of that. Page 8, number 10, would approve grant applications for operating assistance for Cowtown and City Arts, and installation assistance for public art and public murals. Number 12 is a settlement of a claim involving a police vehicle accident. That's all I have on that. Nothing on page 9 or page 10. On page 11, number 18 would approve an updated lease agreement with the Sedgwick County Public Building Commission for property that's currently being used by WSU Tech at Jabara. Number 19 would approve a farming agreement for land located adjacent to Jabara Airport. That is everything I have for the 11th. On the draft agenda, you received a new draft this morning. Hopefully, we're all working from the same one. Just real quickly highlighting some of the items that will be on that agenda. We'll have our annual water conservation rebate program. We have some end-of-year closing adjustments based on 2024 budget. We're working on finalizing this. Hopefully, we'll have the MAC lease and operating agreement with MAC Inc.
Can I go back to the water conservation? Can we
Yes.
get data? I know that we'll get a green sheet eventually, but just provide over the last 5 years what that has looked like, the rebate program. Have people been using it? If so, how many people? I'd like to see if there's success rates in that, given that we're still in a drought right now, and I know that people are talking about water.
Yep, we'll look at, we'll show you how much has been used, I think, and every year, I think we've actually run out of money, if I remember right. So I think everything has been allocated, has been used on rebates, but don't quote me on that, we'll double check. And then we'll also get you the amount of conservation that we estimate for the last 5 years. Okay. Number 5 would approve a project to install cameras and lighting and additional equipment to improve security at Botanica. On page 3, number 6 is our, it's approval of the cultural institution operating partnership agreements plus some funding allocations from the Artist Access Program. Number 7 is approval of a project to improve the meeting room promenade space at Century 2, which is in the CIP.
Is that District 1, not District 6, or is Century 2? On the sheet, it says District 6.
Yeah, we'll take care of that. I think you tried to give it to District 6, if I remember. Land swap. Number 8 would approve, I think, funding. I haven't actually seen this report. I think it just came in for the continuation of the Downtown Pedestal Art Program. Number 9 is awarding contract for the use of the Clap Park Clubhouse. That's all I had on that page. And page 4 There'll be a number of council travel items that will be on that agenda. They're not showing here now, but I think NLC travel as well as the mayor's trip that she just referenced. Nothing really to highlight on the first couple pages of consent. On page 7, number 7 is the start of our GEO note sale for this year, $48 million sale. And then I think the only other thing I'll highlight is on page 9, we have the sale of 4 public housing properties. Oh, which isn't shown? It's not shown yet. We will probably have for you on the 18th a moratorium for College Hill and the conversion of residential property for parking. So for a 1-year period until the College Hill plan is complete, there'd be a moratorium on demolition of housing and conversion of residential property for commercial parking.
That's in the consent agenda?
No, that'll be on a regular planning item, I think.
Because it would be the first reading, so it could be.
Right.
Is this in collaboration with the College Hill master plan?
Yes, yeah. And this was referenced by Councilmember Ballard at the last council meeting. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you. I think we have a legislative report, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And for some reason, I can't get my camera to work, so I apologize for that. Looking at the can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. The legislature is in full swing. We're getting close to some deadlines, so there are a ton of hearings and a ton of bills that are being introduced. Turnaround is at the end of February, so we're getting very close to that. The Sunflower Summers program was part of the Department of Commerce budget that did go through the Appropriations Committee this week. The Sunflower Summers program was allotted $1 million, which is much less than originally asked for. The legislature did ask the Department of Commerce to reduce their budget by 10%, and there was some suggestions made by the Department of Commerce as well as legislators to reduce some of these fundings. We will continue to work on this, and Jim will have more information to share. Looking at other items for this week, on Thursday, Senate Bill 120 will be the Municipal Whistleblower Act that provides municipal employees who report unlawful conduct with statutory protections. We are also monitoring the Bankers Association local deposit bill. Last week, both the House and Senate film tax credit bills were heard in the Senate Commerce Committee as well as the House Tax Committee. The City of Wichita did provide testimony in support of that bill. In addition, Senate Bill 86, the Passenger Rail Revolving Fund bill, was heard in the Senate Ways and Means Committee, and the City of Wichita did provide testimony in support of that bill as well. House Bill 2119 was heard this week, which eliminates the affordable housing tax credits. There is a bill in both the House and the Senate to do this. There is concern from the legislators about the growing cost of this. There were many opponents to this bill, and we are hoping for a negotiated change to the program so that we can continue it in the state. Looking at some other items that have had hearings, the elimination of the 3-mile rule, there is a House and a Senate bill that has both been heard. We anticipate that an interim committee will look at this issue and will look at it for further study this summer and fall. In addition, House Bill 2211 has been introduced. That is the Star Bonds Food Sales Tax Replacement Fund. With the reduction in the food sales tax, the Star Bonds districts that were enacted before the food sales tax was reduced, there is a little bit of a gap in funding. And so there are some discussions going on how we can fund that from a state level. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Marley?
Yes,
Hey, Marley, how you doing?
good.
When you talk about the affordable housing, is that the LIHTC credits?
Yes, that is part of that. Is the affordable housing tax credits, yes.
And that's been in the Senate? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
There is both a House bill and a Senate bill to repeal that. The House bill is 2119. I don't have the Senate bill in front of me, but the House bill has had a hearing that was heard on Thursday, and there's a lot of concern about eliminating those credits. But there is a lot of concern on the legislators' part about the growing fiscal note. So I think there's some room in between to maybe pare down some of those credits, but still keep the program in effect.
Okay, in the Star Bond bill, the food sales tax replacement, has there been any discussion about the exemption, doing away with the exemptions for alcohol to match kind of their proposal for the Chiefs to move to the Kansas side?
No, there has not been at all. They want that to be specific to the Star Bonds district for the Chiefs and the Royals, and they don't want to expand it past that, is what I have heard. I know that I'm working with Councilmember Ballard on getting some other information for a CID, but I have not been able to get a hold of the committee chair on that.
Okay, and then the last question on the local deposits, that bill, did you say we testified in support of that?
No, there are lots of communities that testified in opposition to that. That would require, there are 10 cities and counties that are large enough that have exemptions for depositing all of their funds in local banks. The Bankers Association would like to require the majority of those funds to be deposited in Kansas. The larger communities and counties have concerns with that because there would be some loss of revenue if all the monies have to be deposited in the state. So there is some negotiations going on that bill.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if I'd caught it wrong, so thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Marley. I see no further questions.
Thank you.
Council members, comments?
Well, this is getting to be a yearly tradition for me, but Chiefs are playing in the Super Bowl again. So everybody just have a safe time. Please don't drink and drive. Make sure you have rides set up. Whatever happens in the Super Bowl, just appreciate hopefully a good game, and again, go Chiefs.
Before you celebrate Chiefs victory on Saturday, Mike and I are having a joint town hall at the Christian Faith Center at 9:30. And we'll be talking about the new anti-camping ordinance and having homeless outreach team there as well.
I hope you have a lot of fruit and pretzels there.
Dude, this whole weekend's gonna be about nothing but like smoked sausages and steak and beanie weenies and whatnot, so. I'll bring the healthy option.
Well,
You'll be taking most of that home too, so.
last year, we all know that we had the incident with the Jackie Robinson statue. And Saturday over at the Orpheum, the documentary More Like Jackie will be presented, I believe at 4:30. So anyone who would love to see that and how our city came together around that, that's a great documentary. Hope to see people there.
And last, okay,
I just wanted to highlight, thank you all for approving my travel to go on Wednesday to Topeka. It was Early Learning Advocacy Day. I had the opportunity to travel with Tony Porter, Vice President of Government Relations for the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce, our very own Adrian Ladd, Supervisor of Child Care Licensing within Public Works here at the city, and then Tanya Bullock, CEO of Child Start. And so went to all the different presentations that they had, met with several of our legislators, talked to them about our city's legislative platform regarding child care and what we hope to see, but really just tried to communicate to everyone that this is is a workforce issue. It's something that's impacting every town, city within the state of Kansas and the state overall. So appreciate the opportunity to go and represent Wichita. I think it was a really successful day and had lots of good interactions with our decision makers at the state level.
And thank you again to council members J.V. Johnston and Councilmember Hoheisel. They already had their district advisory board meetings, and Councilmember Glasscock, their golf cart ordinance presentation. The next ones will be in Councilmember Ballard's district on Monday at 6:30 p.m. at Evergreen, and Councilmember Tuttle in District Number 2 will have her district advisory board meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. at, Becky? At the fire station in Southeast Wichita. So again, thank you for the feedback. Councilmember Johnson will have his in March. So I appreciate that there's a lot of community feedback. And then last but not least, you can see that we're all kind of wearing some red today, and that is because today is Wear Red Day, because it's a reminder that the #1 killer for women is heart disease. And so cardiovascular health is important to all of us, whether man or woman. So we just want to advocate for American heart health today. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.